Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Dialogue. I'm Taimur Shamil. The violation of line of control and working boundary continue from the Indian side, and so does the violation of human rights and atrocities, Indian atrocities in Kashmir. Chief of Army Staff Qamar Javed Bajwa yesterday was addressing the Rangers in Punjab, and he said that the Pakistani army is ready to give any befitting response to any aggression from the Indian side. Today we are going to discuss about the violation of line of control and also how India has been doing. We are going to take a break over here at this moment. I will join you after this break. Stay with us. यार ये तो
पाकिस्तान हर साल 5 फरवरी को यौम यकजहती कश्मीर मनाता आ रहा है, जिसका मकसद ये है कि कश्मीरियों की रवाजुद्दोजहद आज़ादी की इखलाकी, सियासी और सफारती हिमायत जारी रखी जाए। कश्मीरी शुहदा और कैदियों के अहल खाना के ज़ख्मों का मदावा किया जाए और तब तक मज़लूम कश्मीरियों की रवाजुद्दोजहद को जारी व सारी रखने के लिए हिमायत जारी रखी जाए, जब तक न
Welcome back. We were discussing that the violation of line of control and working boundary continues, and also the Indian aggression inside Kashmir as well. And Pakistan on various points has been talking about peace and stability in the region. Pakistani officials have been talking about peace and peace with India as well. But we don't see at the moment that India is reciprocating these peace initiatives from the Pakistani side. Rather, yesterday what we saw was that the Indian Chief of Army Staff Rawat said that that they would again go for the surgical strikes. Many experts are of the view that this statement is perhaps, they said that if wishes were horses. And these provocative statements, provocation on the line of control, provocation on the working boundary is certainly testing Pakistan's limits. And Pakistan has been very vocal about the Indian involvement in different areas of Pakistan, also instigating terrorism and extremism. The case of Kulbhushan Yadav is also on record, and the dossiers were handed over to the United Nations from the Pakistani officials as well. We are going to talk about the provocation from the Indian side, the extremism and terrorism inside Kashmir by the Indian authorities, and also the rising extremism in India, where now a lot of Muslims and Christians and Sikhs are also insecure, and many liberals as well. So what are the options for Pakistan when such kind of statements come from the Indian side, from the Indian Army Chief, and also how Pakistan is going to address these challenges from the Indian side? We are going to discuss about all this, and for that we have our guests in the studios. Mr. Lieutenant General Raza Muhammad Khan is former President, National Defence University and senior political commentator. So welcome to the program. Second guest is Mr. Salman Zaidi. He is an expert on Pakistan-India relations and on Pakistan's foreign policy as well. Welcome to the program, Mr. Salman. Mr. Bashir Wali is a senior defence analyst and also a political commentator. He specializes on the terrorism and extremism as well. Welcome to the program, Mr. Bashir Wali. So let's start starting with this recent violation of line of control and also of working boundary as well. Do you think that this is also a projection of the Indian mindset at the moment, of the BJP mindset as well, that they want to provoke Pakistan on every front, at the diplomatic front as well, when they say that they want to diplomatically isolate Pakistan, on the working boundary, line of control, and then yesterday again this statement of surgical strikes. How do you see these provocating statements and actions?
You talked about the mindset there. Unfortunately, it appears, that the mindset in India, and I'm talking of their both political as well as military leadership, is that of 1971. Because they're talking of, further splitting Pakistan into 10 pieces and so on and so forth. I seriously think that they need to come out of that mindset. Because the Pakistan of 2017 is much different than what it was in 1971. The environment is totally different than what it was. There is a nuclear balance in the subcontinent, and there is no secession sort of activities anywhere in Pakistan. In fact, the people of Pakistan are very united, much more united than what they were. And thanks to the Indian policies, particularly that of Mr. Modi, now I think the two-nation theory has been revised and revalidated, and the people of Pakistan are aware, that external powers are trying, to divide them on various issues, and therefore, they are more united. Coming back to what you asked, they've been saying, they've been talking about surgical strikes, and they did undertake some punitive raids along the LOC, which they're calling surgical strikes, and they have the capability of repeating those punitive raids, and Pakistan has the capability of again responding in kind and even escalating the situation. What they need to be talking about is the consequences of such actions. If they undertake some deeper punitive raids inside Pakistan, then obviously.
Do you think if they are making these kind of statements, do you think that our response was docile? We could have been more aggressive just to give them this message? Many people ask this question inside Pakistan.
This is, I think, a genuine question. Our response has always been measured. The people of Pakistan actually wanted that we should respond to the Indian provocations much more aggressively. But then the political and the military leadership of Pakistan are different than that of India. They would probably, they would actually think much more than what the Indian leadership are thinking. If the Indian media or the Indian people, if their, emotions have been built up, where they want their armed forces, to undertake military operations, and the military operations are carried out because, the people desire so, or the media desire so, I think that is not a prudent strategy, and that should not be adopted. And again, finally, I'd like to add to this is that, they have the capability, and the intentions can change at any time. Pakistan and Pakistan armed forces are aware of that. And it has been said, a number of times that we are prepared for any kind of aggression. And if there is any kind of aggression from the Indian side, I think Pakistan will respond at the time and place of its own choosing.
Salman, many people think inside Pakistan and abroad as well that Pakistan should stay calm. We know what is going on inside India. What is we see and we hear Mr. Modi's statements, we hear their politicians' statements, and yesterday what Indian Chief of Army Staff was saying. But still, Pakistan and the Pakistani people should stay calm. Our statements should be measured, as General Saab said, and that is what maturity is. Do you think that we should respond them in this way, or do you think that we should be more aggressive, that we have to give them a response that is befitting, that is more aggressive, just to give them this message that we won't take things lightly?
There's multiple things to what you say, Taimur. One responds in kind when one is sure that the partner that we are dealing with is even worthy of calling a partner. And I don't think the Indians have displayed over the last 3 years any indication of being a mature enemy. Accept them as an enemy or not, I mean, that's another question. But I don't think the Indians are terribly serious about what they say. Provocations on the LOC are one thing, but really being some an enemy for Pakistan is not a role that the Indians can take on. It was mentioned that there's a nuclear sort of parity between both powers. This is a world that is increasingly conflicted, within which rhetoric only goes so far.
But don't you think that is confusing? They are saying something very provocative, and at the same time, we should think that they don't really mean it, you know.
True, but
just think something
scratch the surface of Indian rhetoric and you'll find that there is no depth. You find that the Indian government, and of course we've been saying this in Pakistan over the last 3 years, that the Modi government does not have much depth at all. A personalization of public policy is what we've seen, not just on foreign policy, on defense, on every other count, the demonetization fiasco, etc. I mean, look at India for what it is turning into. Rhetoric is all great, it irritates us. There's cynics in Pakistan sort of pull up their sleeves and say we should respond in kind, etc.
Should we be irritated, or should we let it go? Should we just not be bothered about what they're saying?
You know, this season I'm not even bothered about what the Indians are saying, and there's a reason for that. There's a reason because another government has come into power in DC, and that's really changing the sort of dynamics of how capitals engage with each other, right? There's multiple issues in South Asia. There's the Afghanistan question, there's CPEC, there's so many other new conflicts coming up, right? Can the Indians be credible partners in anything? I don't think so. They're not credible partners in peace, therefore I don't think they need to be treated as credible partners or enemies at all. Rhetoric, for what it is only just that. So I'm not terribly bothered by what the Indians say.
Mr. Bashir, whenever we talk about Kashmir, that is certainly Pakistan's concern. There is a concern for the people of Pakistan and for the Kashmiris as well, as something the Indians don't even recognize. In 2015, December, when Mr. Satadjis went to Delhi, they were not allowed to meet the Hurriyat leaders because the Indians think that the Kashmiris are not a party to this whole issue of Kashmir. One. Second thing is that Pakistan, this is what they're doing for the sake of peace and harmony in the region. Second thing is Afghanistan. Pakistan's policy towards Afghanistan, and our officials are on record saying that India is instigating terrorism and extremism inside Pakistan via Afghanistan. How do you see it that whenever we want to talk about Kashmir, they come up with the issue of terrorism? Rather, we see them instigating terrorism and extremism.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Well, I've heard both my friends here. And of course, you are thinking also. I mean, they are on one line probably, and you are in another. But I agree with my friend, both of them also. As far as they are thinking, the Indians, you know, this provocation part, it has started with this idiot, you know, I would call him an idiot because what he's doing, and my friend, you know, is right. It's not only, you know, Pakistan, it's internal, so many internal issues, which is not, I think, part of our this agenda. So he is, ever since he has come, he has adopted a certain approach. Now, the same thing naturally is passed on and interpreted by even the defense in that part of the world. Their army chief, the statement that you have referred to, he has just come. He is
reflecting that mindset.
So he's just taken over. He's new, and everybody, every government, you know, when it comes, it has certain agenda. They try to impress their people. You know, their agenda may be different. So he has used this thing that, okay.
Is your point that anti-Pakistan sentiment is popular inside India, and that is why Mr. Modi and the Indian Chief of Army Staff, they are making such kind of statements? Because this sentiment is popular, anti-Pakistan sentiment.
Look, this anti-sentiment Pakistan problem, they are popular only in the north. People, if you study, people in the south, they are least interested. You just go through what happened, you know, what the Indian did during the Indira Gandhi period, followed by Rajiv Gandhi, and what they were doing, you know. They first went for Bangladesh. Unfortunately, we were disorganized. I won't say that we were not organized. We were it was a disorganized affair. They went for that, created Mukti Bahini, and whatever they did to Bangladesh was created. They wanted to adopt the same policy in the northern and the eastern part of Sri Lanka. They created these LTTE, and they wanted to go for it. But as a result, if you overall, she was eliminated, killed by her own guard inside her own residence. The son who was in south, so you should see, and if you read, I was reading a assassination of
even Mr. Gandhi himself. Mr. Gandhi himself was killed
exactly.
by these fanatics.
Indira Gandhi, Rajiv Gandhi, they were all, so he was assassinated in the south. And if you go through the history, their history, so it is a long history. So we should not be, but at the same time, although General Raza has already said that we have not taken these statements very lightly also. They are always, you know, will be a statement. Now you have seen even the army chief, although he's come new, but he's given.
That is what my question is.
Yes.
That can we stay, General Raza, can we stay calm in such kind of environment? Can we talk about peace and stability, or talks with India, or talk with the BJP government? There are hawks and doves on both sides. Many people in Pakistan and India also who are for peace and stability. They might say that Pakistan should step forward and talk with India, or India should step forward. Amidst such kind of statements, can we go for talks with the present government in India?
Talks is an option which for the time being, I think the present Indian government, it has opted out of. They've quoted various reasons for that. And if you recall, when the incident of Pathankot happened, and the foreign secretaries were supposed to meet, and they took that as a reason, for cancelling those talks. And thereafter, when there was these incidents in Uri, so the SAARC summit was supposed to be held in Islamabad, and India not only scuttled that, but also coerced Afghanistan and Bangladesh and others to boycott it. So they have this line of thought. I think overall it is going to hurt India more than it is hurting Pakistan, because if you look at the conditions which prevailed about 5 years back, when India and Pakistan were talking on CBMs and also on issues, and there was this comprehensive dialogue and all that. I think India benefited more than Pakistan from them. And right now, I think India is going to lose because the lack of dialogue by both sides is going to reduce whatever confidence building measures had been adopted earlier, and this is going to strengthen the hardliners in both India as well as in Pakistan. So I think it's not in the national interest of India that they continue to follow this kind of diplomatic posturing.
And this is a very interesting and important point, Salman, that after Pathankot or after Uri, that time was a crucial time for diplomats on both sides, and foreign secretaries and governments on both sides. They could have gone for peace talks, and they could have availed that opportunity to talk about peace and give a clear message that we want to defeat the extremists and the terrorists on both sides, let's say, or whoever wants to sabotage peace between India and Pakistan. But we saw something opposite, as General Saab is saying. They called off the talks between India and Pakistan, they called off the talks between the foreign secretaries, and then the SAARC meeting. How do you see this?
I see it as India being unable to address its internal extremism issues. There is intense radicalization going on within it, and not just within Muslim groups, which we know are now being supported by ISIS. There is support there. There is the resonance of ISIS all over the world, as well as in India, particularly Hyderabad, the city where ISIS cells were busted. But be that as it may, there's multiple other communities getting radicalized in India. Hindu radicalization is on the march. It is every season is more emboldened. It's reflected in multiple state elections. The Punjab elections are happening today as we speak. There's something in New Delhi that is unable to take stock of this new reality of India. If you turn a blind eye to your own internal realities, then you know, 5 years, 10 years later, you have a bomb blast. Now, many in Pakistan would say that Pakistan has been through this experience of radicalization and can share lessons with the rest of the world, right? It's not just radicalization, it's thresholds and de-radicalization that you need to meet, national consensus building. India is nowhere on the charts as a world case study on dealing with transitional democracies. India is a terrible case study. India has very low HDI, Human Development Index. India's cities are polluted. In the human rights violations, and we haven't spoken about those just yet, are, you know, for everybody to the footage you were just showing before the show is also a case study, right? I mean, compare this to Pakistan. Pakistan has invested, if not effort, then a great deal of thinking at international forums that deal with de-radicalization. Pakistan's case study on de-radicalization is in fact one of the best in the world, right? We are able to share that template with Western partners when they come and speak to us. Now, to come back to your question about Pathankot, India could have used that to sort of say, you know, let's not go down the way of conflict, let's sort of, you know, talk about how we can create more peace.
And all the more reason that we have to talk about peace after those attacks.
Peace is a compulsion in South Asia. You can't just let Kashmir and the prisoner issue and every other issue just fester on the back burner for decades and expect that it will be okay. No, Kashmir has turned into a much larger issue, and it is also causing resentment on our side. It doesn't just stop at Azad Kashmir. It's parts of Punjab that react to this. It's Afghanistan that reacts to this.
This point, Mr. Bashir, that extremism and terrorism is ultimately going to harm India itself first. And as Salman was saying, we know that what extremism is, and we have been fighting successfully extremism and terrorism. We have eliminated the terrorists from many areas in Pakistan. Extremism in India would be of a different kind. Many liberals in India are being targeted by the Hindu fanatics, by the members of Shiv Sena and RSS. Many film stars are also being attacked by these Hindu fanatics, and this is going to rise probably if the statements from the Indian side continue against Pakistan or maybe against other minorities in India. Do you think that India and the BJP at the moment, they are realizing this alarming situation inside India, that this is going to harm India and other countries as well?
I think they are not. Somehow they have their own agenda. You know, he is basically Modi. He himself is a terrorist. He is an extremist, whatever you call him. He himself accepted when he was in Bangladesh that during the 71, this Mukti Baini affair and all, not that
member of RSS.
He could have said that it was India did this, so even that was probably would have been a lighter sort of thing. But he said he himself was part of those movement. Now, if he is that man, and a terrorist to me will always remain a terrorist. And I can quote one terrorist, and I'll give the example of the Sri Lankan, this Tamil chap, Prabhakaran. You know, the India tried their level best. They cultivated, the Ra was working on it. The entire Indian government was working it. He was initially flown, he was made to stay in Karnataka and then Tamil Nadu and all that stuff. They were working for years on him. But he had something different in his mind. And that different, they just could not sort out that chap. And at the end of the day, you know, the beautiful planning in the presence of Ra, you know, according to some this thing, the Ra was involved in it because one of
so
their the chap involved, and the Rajiv Gandhi was assassinated.
You can't change their mindset.
You can't, exactly. A terrorist will remain. So you can't, Narendra Modi's mind, he's a terrorist, he'll keep, you know, harping on these points. But what we should, you know, I'll come to that, this thing, that what should our be?
Let's say we are at times criticized for not moving forward for peace.
Yes.
How can we move forward for peace with India when the environment is like this?
No, I'm sorry, I'm not for the peace, okay? My friend has very, I think, he's gone into real details probably. They have all these problems. Our human rights, record, internationally what we have done, what these people are doing at the intellectual, we have tried our level best and we are still on it. We haven't stopped that. But what is the response? Correspondingly, zero. In this very forum, we said when Sartaj Aziz, he should not have been sent. Look at the environment.
That is debatable, certainly. That Pakistan has been acting maturely. We went there.
I think there is a limit to maturity also. You should, yes, you should, if you give, then it will be interpreted in the other. That will be your weakness, that they will say this, so you have to react. No, you react accordingly. I think my friend General Raza has already in detail that we should see the timing, we should see as to when and how. No, we should react.
That is the point.
And that will be the feeling of the people. You just can't ignore the people of Pakistan.
Yeah. Whenever we talk about Kashmir, the Indian atrocities in Kashmir, pelicans used in Kashmir on innocent people, innocent children died, women died in Kashmir, and they are dying every day in Kashmir. Whenever we talk about Kashmir, they talk about terrorism. They talk about terrorists, what they say are supported by Pakistan. What can Pakistan do to make this thing clear? And Pakistan has certainly made this thing clear that we'll start with Kashmir, first of all, and we have to stop the allegations. The Indians have to realize this, that they have to stop making allegations against Pakistan on terrorism.
The Indian ambassador, I think 3 days back, probably he made a statement to the media that yes, there is a problem in Kashmir. And at the same time, he conveniently added to that there were external factors responsible for that. I think this is absolutely incorrect. In 2016, the whole year, whatever happened there, I think the whole world knows it, and India itself knows it, that everything was totally indigenous. And therefore, I think they should not have this ostrich-like mentality. I think this is going to again hurt them.
There are many allegations and accusations against a couple of individuals inside Pakistan.
Yes.
They are Pakistanis. I'm talking about Hafiz Saeed for that matter, of Jamaat-ud-Dawa. He's under arrest in Pakistan, and there are a lot of speculations that this is because of the changing regional politics perhaps, and also some Indians are of the view that now that Hafiz Saeed is under arrest, more needs to be done. Why India, let's say, is so much interested in Hafiz Saeed? Certainly because of the accusations. But how do you see this whole scenario, the timing of Hafiz Saeed and our message to the region and to the world?
Okay, so you previously, you asked about what Pakistan can do, and I think Pakistan has done whatever it had to do. It cannot do more than whatever it has done, as was also pointed out by other colleagues. And I think it is India which needs to do whatever else has to be done. Okay. On the question of Hafiz Saeed, whether you call it Jamaat-ud-Dawa or Lashkar-e-Tayyiba or whatever, I think whatever decision the government of Pakistan has taken, it has been said that it has been taken in the national interest of Pakistan, irrespective of any external pressure on us. But I want to add to this, very emphatically, that we should not be overly defensive on these issues, because there can be no end to that. If you recall, Indians have been, when the Mumbai bombings happened, then they had named a number of individuals. They claimed that they were in Pakistan, and they claimed that we should hand over those individuals to them, although they were not there. So there can be no end to that, and no law, whether national or international, allows handing over of Pakistani citizens to the Indian government. But as I said, look at the casualties that Pakistan has suffered for the last 15 years. Again, the DGISPR was there, and he said that we have lost 20,000 people in terms of lives, and another 30,000 people who have been injured. And what are the total losses of India? Let's say from 2001 to date, they are not more than 1,000 in terms of dead or in terms of injured. So honestly, if I were the government of Pakistan, I would say, look, all these people, or a majority of them, have been killed or they have been injured because of the involvement, direct involvement of RAW or NDS. Yes, of course, there was, a small internal component as well. So probably, I would say that India should hand over all the heads of their RAW chiefs, and NDS should hand over all the heads of their chiefs to us for us to try them. So I think we need to adopt, a little aggressive policy on that one.
Right. Salman, do you agree with this? Because this is, as General Saab was saying, this is not going to end. And that is what a tweet said. Indian officials, they made this tweet after Hafiz Saeed was under arrest, that more needs to be done, and we hope that Hafiz Saeed would not be released anytime soon. The thing is that what we are doing is for our national security, our national interest. If we have some, the agencies might be having some information on that, they're doing whatever they want to do. The government is doing whatever they want to do. India jumping in and then demanding for more, this whole rhetoric, how do you see this?
I'm reminded of a conversation in a Track 2 conference that we had, where the Indians said to the Pakistanis that, and I was in this discussion, that you clearly have a big problem with terrorism. So, and you haven't been able to resolve it. There's more and more attacks in Pakistan. How about we jump in and resolve this for you? That kind of language. And this, the Indians have a habit of walking in with, with a swagger. They did it in Afghanistan. They did it in multiple other arenas where they shouldn't have. But your question about what does one do with this? I completely agree with General Saab. Pakistanis have no reason to be defensive. This figure that we quote every year repeatedly, we've lost this many people, and so the world owes us such and such. Why do we need to constantly repeat ourselves by saying, so many dead, we have long maintained our stance on such and such? Pakistan needs to evolve its own attitude towards the problems that it is in a leadership position on. It's taking a leadership position on Kashmir. The language around 5th Kashmir is terrible tomorrow. I've seen the posters while I was driving up to PTV. But we are giving leadership to this global issue. We're giving leadership to a bunch of other issues, but not realizing the capital that we have here. We are constantly on a back foot. It takes just one statement from New Delhi to completely unnerve us and send us back into a defensive mode, whereby we say, this is not our problem, we have not done this, we fought the largest inland war, etc., etc. Pakistan has no need to present this sort of case. As for your question on the agencies as well as the non-state actors that sort of run amok in this field, I mean, Pakistan is a nuclear state. There is no reason for outsourcing policy, defense or national security or NAP or anything else. For that matter, Jamaat-ul-Dawa is not Jamaat-ul-Dawa anymore. It's the Tehreek-e-Azad Jammu Kashmir, for that matter. They've been renamed. I'm not terribly interested in their future. I'm interested in what Islamabad is able to do.
On top of it, by the way, there's lack of evidence. There are simply pure allegations, and that is it. This is also a point of view. The thing is that obviously we have to take actions against all the elements that are there to sabotage peace and stability inside Pakistan. We are taking action against them, and that is it.
I agree with that. But states can't be reduced to the operations of one group or a bunch of individuals. It is, this is a choice, whether you want to be treated as a country, whether you want to speak as a capital, or you want these people to do your talking for you.
Bashir, should we give them India after, let's say, this Hafiz Saeed episode, a befitting response that no statement would be welcomed by Pakistan in any matter from the Indian side, and whatever Pakistan is doing is for its own national security and defense, and rather India should be focusing more, as the Foreign Office said, on what is happening inside Kashmir and inside India, where a lot of people are insecure?
Well, only yesterday, while sitting again in the same chair here, this came up, this Hafiz Saeed, where the reference was also made to the what we should say, the DG ISPR, that, he was asked a question and he just said, we have nothing to do with it. and I took him on yesterday on this. He can't say that we have nothing to do with it. It's just from a DG ISPR who is representing all the armed forces.
Nothing to do with what?
With this Hafiz Saeed business, you know, and that blogger and all that
Obviously,
stuff. No.
On this, he said that it is in the national interest.
It
that
is.
that
Yes, but Ali said that it is national. I would say what national interest?
Yes.
It is absolutely wrong as far as the timing is concerned. And my friend was very right. Why we are repeating all this nonsense every time that this happened, that happened? Do you think this world, are they blind? They are not blind. We have given the Indian involvement in Pakistan in general, with Balochistan in particular, with KPK in particular, we have given it, you know, personally handed over by our representative to the UN. What else they want?
The dossier has been given, right?
Okay. What else they want? Now at this stage, you know, when this is the scenario, we have gone for...
So you're not okay with the timing?
No.
That is the point. That
Why you know, going for this one particular, let's say, group, I would say, or person, do they have anything against this chap? Not a single, to my knowledge, not a single FIR has been lodged in the entire country.
And this is
nothing against him. And then one fine morning, your interior minister, if he was maybe, fast asleep in the morning, he said, do this. This is totally wrong. There is, in this country, you have law of land. There are judges. There are so many things. Okay, if he is involved in something which is against the national interest, then go for him, lodge a FIR, sort him out.
Two things.
As far as the Indian, let me finish with the Indian also. They have no bloody right. We should tell them, I think, once for all. But the problem lies again with our leadership. As far as the army is concerned, they are responding, whenever they say there will be a message from the army chief or somebody. But what message has been given from our political hierarchy?
Timing and message. These are the two most important things at the moment. I think Bashir Wali Saab is of the view, and perhaps many people in Pakistan, that why at this point we have been fighting extremists. The world knows that. We have been fighting terrorists, world knows that. The Kulbhushan Yadav case and everything. At this moment, we shouldn't have done it. And also, as you were saying, they won't stop at any point. They would keep on asking for more. But what do you think about this?
I think we do not have as much information as the government of Pakistan has. Right. They receive, information officially as well as non-officially, having been part of the government for a very long time. I'm aware of that. And I think they must have analyzed all the information available to them. They must have assessed it very dispassionately and then taken a decision. Therefore, I think whatever decision the government of Pakistan has taken, it may be questioned, it may be debated. But in my view, I think that's the right decision. Because as has been said, the environment is changing and changing very fast. And a decision which is taken at the highest possible level, I think we need to support it for the timing, because they've got more information. This is all that I can see on that.
That's a very, I think, comprehensive answer. Salman, talking about what is going on inside Kashmir, as I said earlier, children being killed, people are protesting and they are killed for that, women, children, old people, old men, young people killed without any judicial prosecution or anything like that. And then there comes up a case like Burhan Wani, a young man whose brother was killed by the Indian forces, and then he picks up the arms against the Indian atrocities, Indian security forces in Kashmir, and he is called a terrorist who is in Kashmir fighting for his people. And also many people who might support Burhan Wani, who might support the people of Kashmir, they might also be called terrorists. What do you think about this? Because this is a question that many people, Pakistanis, many Indians ask inside India, Pakistan and elsewhere in the world, that if somebody is supporting the Kashmir cause or stands up and is vocal about the atrocities in Kashmir, he's a terrorist. What do you think about this?
I'd like to refer to the Manmohan government that spent a considerable amount of energy and time and resource in engaging Kashmir in dialogue. This was unprecedented. It came after many, many years of effort within and a push within the Indian establishment that we need to engage the Kashmiris in a better way. And so there was rounds of dialogues between Delhi and Srinagar, which led to positive outcomes. Violence was down, etc. But that did not resolve, the underlying issues. The draconian law, the FPA was still in place. It was only when these guys came to power, the BJP government, that violence went up. It was a shuffle of people that New Delhi was used to doing business with. BJP wanted more electoral depth in Kashmir, that they went in there and sort of created changes. It created angst instead. Turning a blind eye to the suffering of the Kashmiris also led to, what the incident that Burhan Wani was a tipping point, where the Kashmiris had had enough. Now, is this a Pakistani issue? Pakistan has been taking up the human rights atrocities at all the relevant forums, but where Pakistan needs to also sort of pay more attention is changing the narrative around Kashmir from a story of suffering to a story of heroism. And like I mentioned, I saw the posters up today in Islamabad in remembrance of the plight of the Kashmiris, etc. I don't know if the Kashmiris only want to be known as a people who suffer. I think the Kashmiris are very heroic. They are a brave people. I think the story needs to evolve on Kashmir from Pakistan. And
at this point that they are suffering, there is no denying this fact, that but what Kashmiris want themselves to be taken as is also they're struggling for their freedom, Bashir Sahab. They're fighting against the Indian atrocities, but at the same time they're not even considered a party to this whole issue of Kashmir between Pakistan and India. And by the way, Pakistan wants to make it clear that we want what the people of Kashmir want, and that is liberation, and that is it. How do you see this, Pakistan's stance on Kashmir?
Look, Pakistan stand right from the start, if you take it, when this issue was taken to the UN. It was the plebiscite. And who asked for plebiscite? Nehru. Okay? And we still maintain that. Let the people of Kashmir decide. We still believe in that. But it is, unfortunately, it is the Indians, who have, they say it's the integral part. So we say plebiscite, they talk about the integral part. And I agree with my friend that we should, this issue should not be restricted to only that. As far as the Indians are concerned, they are the biggest liar, I would tell you. If I will just, for just food for thought, you press the Google, put my name, okay, and you will see a lot. I was posted in 2004, if I'm not, to Sri Lanka as ambassador. The article written by the second man, of B. Raman, if you have read something, you would recollect. Now, he has given 2 pages about me, which includes, let me tell you, I'm coming to this
Kashmir point,
Kashmir reference. About me, at least, he said, he has been head of Jamaat-e-Dawa. Right. He has been of the Lashkar-e-Tayyaba. I mean, couple of other things. Believe me, I mean, I'm 70.
So that is exactly, that is exactly
the
question
why,
that anybody
why we are, trying to just, think that they will change. They will never change. Till today, I've served for 45 years, and variety, this thing. 10 years I've served the ISI, 15 intelligence.
So this is their
bureau.
mindset, and all the more reason that at the moment, the BJP government, that was we were discussing, that do we expect anything positive from the present BJP government? Lastly,
no,
and will wonder.
There is just no question. And now they are, in the process. They know that from this border, they will not be in a position to do. Now they have started from Afghanistan direction. Right. And in Afghanistan, and it is not only the Indian. Please, we should keep that thing in mind. Unfortunately, our weak.
I think
it is the American. Look at the American policy. Today, I don't know whether it has come in the media or not.
It is.
Gulpati in Hekmatyar.
I think Afghanistan is an issue that we certainly are going to discuss soon, and that is a separate issue.
His name has been taken out of the list of the terrorists. So it is their sweet will. It is their sweet will. When they want somebody, they are freedom fighter. When they want, he becomes a terrorist. When they want, is a free. So I think we have to put our own house in order.
Clear policy.
And we should be ready. We must respond in an offensive way according to the situation.
Gentlemen, thank you for joining us. General Raza, pleasure having you on the program. Salman, thank you. Bashir sir, thank you for joining us. Today we discussed about the Indian atrocities in Kashmir, and that we were discussing that many innocent people, children and women, have lost their lives, and Pakistan stands with the people of Kashmir for the liberation of the people of Kashmir, for their freedom, and the Pakistani people and the Pakistani government and the state support the freedom cause and the cause of Kashmir. Also, that Pakistan wants peace in the region. The Pakistani officials have repeatedly said that, but at the same time, Pakistan is a resilient nation. Pakistan is also a nuclear state, a powerful state that also needs to know that how to respond any aggression from any side. Thank you for watching today's program. See you next time. Khuda Hafiz.